Hello everyone, welcome to Story Time. It's me, Josh. Today we're going to be reading Mr. Lazy by Roger Hargreaves from the Mr. Men Library. Hope you're excited and comfortable because we're about to delve into Story Time. That's right. Okie dokie. And if you like reading these stories, please click that bell below and subscribe. Alright, Mr. Lazy lives in Sleepyland, which is a very lazy looking and sleepy-like place. The birds in Sleepyland fly so slowly they sometimes fall out of the sky. The grass takes so long to grow, it only needs cutting once a year. Even the trees are lazy looking and sleepy-like. And do you know what time everybody gets up in Sleepyland? Look at all the trees and flowers and the birds flying but asleep. The trees are kind of asleep and the flowers are asleep. So what time does everybody get up in Sleepyland, do you think? The answer is, they don't get up in the morning. They get up in the afternoon. And incidentally, this is what a Sleepyland clock looks like. Everything takes so long to do, there's only time for 4 hours a day. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well. Anyway, this story starts with Mr. Lazy being fast asleep in bed in Sleepyland. They call that being slow asleep. He spends rather a lot of time in bed. It's his favourite place to be. It is very comfortable, but you don't want to get stuck in there for too long. You miss out on everything. He opened his eyes, yawned and yawned again, and went back to sleep. Oh, it's making me tired. Later, Mr. Lazy opened his eyes again, yawned again, and went back to sleep again. Yeah, content look on his face there, looking nice and sleepy and happy. Much later, Mr. Lazy got up and went to make his breakfast. We say breakfast, although it was really tea time. He puts the kettle on to make some tea. Kettles take 2 hours to boil in Sleepyland. Then he toasted a slice of bread. Bread takes 3 hours to go brown in Sleepyland. Toast never gets burnt there. That's a positive. Mr. Lazy there. Got the bread out and the cup out. While he was waiting for his kettle to boil and his bread to toast, Mr. Lazy went into the garden of Yawn Cottage, which was where he lived. He sat down on a chair and you can probably guess what happened next. That's right. He yawned, yawned again, and went to sleep. That's right. Suddenly he woke up with a jump, which is something that doesn't happen very often to Mr. Lazy. And the reason he woke up with a jump was because of the noise. "Wake up!" said the noise. "Wake up, wake up, wake up!" There were 2 men standing in front of him. Wake up isn't really a noise. Wake up is someone telling you to wake up. It is a noise though, I guess, but that's funny. "I'm Mr. Busy," said one of the men, "and I'm Mr. Bustle." Bustle. Busy and bustle? Like bustle and busy? Said the other. "Come along now, Mr. Bustle, busily." "We can't have you sleeping all day," added Mr. Busy, bustling Mr. Lazy to his feet. "But who are you?" asked Mr. Lazy. "We're Bustle and Busy," they replied. "Oh," said Mr. Lazy. Do you think Bustle and Busy are the opposite of Mr. Lazy? Yeah. "Come along now," said Mr. Busy. "We haven't got all day." "But," said Mr. Lazy. "No time for buts," said Mr. Busy. "Or ifs," added Mr. Bustle. "There's wood to chop and beds to make, and the floors to clean, and the coal to get, and the windows to polish, and the plates to wash, and the furniture to dust, and the grass to cut, and the hedges to clip, and the food to cook. And the clothes to mend," added Mr. Busy. Bustle and Busy look stoked because they're about to get their busy and bustle on, whereas Mr. Lazy, he doesn't look so happy on the side there. "But I don't want to do anything." "Oh dear," groaned Mr. Lazy in a daze. "The wood to clean and the beds to get and the floors to cut and the coal to cook and the windows to make and the plates to mend and the furniture to chop and the grass to wash and the hedges to dust and the clothes to clip." He got it all completely wrong. He was in such a daze. He's like, oh, too much, too much. Then Bustle and Busy set Mr. Lazy to work, chopping and making and cleaning and getting and polishing and washing and dusting and cutting and clipping and cooking and mending. Not to mention all the fetching and the carrying. Poor Mr. Lazy. I wouldn't say necessarily poor Mr. Lazy. Getting some work done. Now, they said when he'd finished, it's time for a walk. And off they set on the longest walk Mr. Lazy had ever been on. Mr. Lazy is one of those people who never walks when he has a chance of sitting down, and never sits down when he has a chance of lying down. He's walking along, not so happy. What is this whole busy thing? But this day he had no choice. They made him walk for miles and miles and miles until he felt his legs must be worn right down to his body. Poor Mr. Lazy. Look at him walking around there. Still a bit unhappy, bit of a frown. When they arrived back at Yawn Cottage, Mr. Busy said, "Right, now for a run." "Oh no," groaned Mr. Lazy. "When I blow this whistle," said Mr. Bustle, producing a whistle, "you've got to start running." "As fast as you can," added Mr. Busy. Mr. Lazy groaned a deep groan and closed his eyes. Mr. Bustle put the whistle to his lips. Whee! Whistled the whistle. I can't really. It's like, I could just go like, it's like, whee is what it says here. He's blowing the whistle there. Getting Mr. Lazy to go for a run. That's different. Whee went the whistle. Mr. Lazy. Poor Mr. Lazy started to run, but his legs weren't getting him anywhere. He opened his eyes and looked down to see why. And the reason his legs weren't getting him anywhere was because he was sitting on a chair in the garden. And there was no sign of Mr. Busy and Mr. Bustle. It had all been a terrible dream, and the whistle was the whistling kettle boiling in the kitchen. Mr. Lazy heaved a sigh of relief, and then he went back into the kitchen, sat down to have his breakfast and to think about his dream. But you know what happened next, don't you? What do you think? Wake up, Mr. Lazy. That's right, he was asleep. Wake up, wake up, wake up! Well, that's all we got time for today. That's Mr. Lazy. Hope you enjoyed the story. Thank you so much for reading with me. Please subscribe, click that bell, and you can visit this page and read stories whenever you like. Alright, bye for now, but not forever. See you soon.